Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the 2020 Election Forum Series. Today, you will meet four candidates running for Melbourne Mayor in the November 3rd elections. By the way, this is a nonpartisan election. I am Isadora Rangel, your host today and Florida Today's engagement editor. Our forums are organized in partnership with the League of Women Voters of the Space Coast and Eastern Florida State College. And you can watch this forum later on TV on WEFS, which is run by Eastern Florida State College. The candidates today with me are Vice Mayor Paul Alfrey, Hazel Buggs, CJ Johnson, and Molly Tasker. Candidates, welcome to our forum.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We're very happy to have you here. And I want to remind everyone about our rules. Each candidate gets 1 minute per question. They also get a 30-second rebuttal if one of their opponent brings them up. And under our forum policy, we usually do not share questions with the candidates ahead of time. However, for this forum today, just for the Melbourne forum, I had to make an exception. When I was sharing the questions with my staff at Florida Today last night, I accidentally copied someone from outside of our organization in an email. That created obviously a risk that the questions could be leaked. And in order to be fair and do the right thing by all the candidates, I decided to share the questions with them ahead of time this morning. I have added new questions to my list. I have also changed the order of the questions, but I just want to make sure we are transparent with the viewers and the candidates. So without further ado, we're going to begin with our opening statements. And Hazel Buggs, you're going first. You have 1 minute to introduce yourself to the voters.
Good afternoon. Yes, my name is Hazel Buggs, and I am a candidate for office of mayor of Melbourne. I ran for this position in 2016 and received great support. I believe that my chance to serve the citizens of Melbourne is reachable this time. I have lived in Melbourne since 1984, and during that time, I have devoted myself to serving my community. I have served my city, county boards, educational councils, neighborhood groups, and much more. I have a proven, verifiable record of community service and the moral integrity to serve the citizens of Melbourne. Some of my platform concerns are COVID-19, the Indian River Lagoon, affordable housing, infrastructure, economic development, our environment, law enforcement concerns, and our homeless situation. I will use wisdom in making sound decisions and be determined to work for positive changes for our city and offer great leadership with an open door policy to the residents' concerns. Yes, and I'm running for mayor of Melbourne.
Thank you. And next up is Vice Mayor Paul Alfrey. You have 1 minute, Paul. And you're muted. Can you hear us?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, so we'll start your minute now because we were not able to hear your introduction. So go ahead.
Okay, hi. Yes, I'm Paul Alfrey. I'm the current Melbourne Vice Mayor of the City of Melbourne, as well as the District 5 Council members. I grew up here in Melbourne. I attended Sable Elementary, Sherwood, Johnson, O'Galley High School, and then Brevard Community College before it was Eastern Florida State. When my dad passed away when I was young at 18, I helped to work and provide for my mother and my younger brothers. And I worked for the Brevard County Road and Bridge doing infrastructure projects for 3 years before enlisting into the United States Coast Guard to serve as a rescue swimmer and a maritime law enforcement officer and to do search and rescue. Once I was honorably discharged from there after 6 years, I worked in law enforcement my remaining 15 years, retiring from the Melbourne Police Department in 2012 as a canine handler. During this time, I started several businesses, which I still own and operate. I've been a successful businessman for about 2 decades, and also avid community volunteer.
Thank you. And your minute is up. I'm sorry. So we're going to move on to Molly here. I know 1 minute goes very fast, yeah, but we still have a long form to go. So Molly, if you can go, you have 1 minute for your opening statement.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity to present myself and my views to the citizens of Melbourne. I'm running for mayor of Melbourne. I have the experience. In fact, I have twice as much local governmental experience than any of the other candidates. I am effective. You simply have to look at my website, go to the Melbourne Successes page, and you'll see. I was part of the council team that managed to pull us out of the worst recession that we had in years successfully. We did a very good job with that. I'm ethical. I don't like smoke-filled rooms. I don't like halls of mirrors. I don't like under-the-table dealings. I can orchestrate this very complex job of restoring our economy, our environment, and our stability, not alone, but as a team member for the city of Melbourne. Thank you.
Thank you. And CJ Johnson, you have 1 minute, and don't forget to unmute yourself before you start.
Thank you very much. I'm CJ Johnson, and I'm running to be your next mayor of Melbourne because I love this city. I grew up here in Melbourne. I'm raising my family here in Melbourne, and I'm a small business owner here. I got my business degree from Florida Southern College, my law degree from Nova Southeastern, and my master's in business from the University of Florida. I believe that we need broader representation in the city of Melbourne, while also making sure that we remember and respect our past and my parents' generation, all while encouraging representation of our families and our young professionals here. Also, we need to make sure that we have a helping hand and give a helping hand out to our younger generation so we can ensure prosperity for the city of Melbourne for the next couple generations. That's why I'm running. I love this city, and I believe that I would be the best choice for Melbourne mayor.
Thank you. So let's move on to our questions. And I want to start by getting to know the candidates better. So my first question is, what is Melbourne's biggest issue or issues? And what is the first change you would like to see in city government after the November election? And Paul, we're going to begin with you. You have 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. There are numerous challenges in the city of Melbourne as currently as the vice mayor that I'm working on. One is the Indian River Lagoon. We are doing an amazing job in the city of Melbourne with multiple projects going on, and we just put in the largest baffle box east side of the Mississippi River. Besides that, the homeless issue and aggressive panhandling. As I talk to people, a lot of people have issues with this that we have to work on. And this also kind of goes hand in hand with affordable housing. So we have to continue to concentrate on affordable housing. I would continue on with supporting our police. I am in no way, I do not believe in defunding the police. I feel that we need to have safe streets and clean streets. So there are numerous challenges for the city of Melbourne and that I can tackle. And I have the most experience when it comes to whether it's road and bridge or whatever. So, and now we'll go in one more, the infrastructure issue. I don't think a lot of the candidates understand the issues we have with infrastructure. We have about 358,
Thank you. Your minute is up.
The short minute. Thank you, Isadora.
For a minute. I know. Again, we have 4 candidates, so that's why we have only 1 minute per question, which is the case when we have a lot of candidates. So Molly, you're going next. Again, the question is, what is the biggest issue or issues in the city of Melbourne, and what changes would you like to see? And you have 1 minute. And don't forget to unmute yourself.
There, just unmuted. We have a very complex situation due to the economic effects of COVID-19. So my primary concern would be restoring our economy, jobs, and our infrastructure, all of which is interrelated. And I would work hard to blend those and have use them to assist each area. Jobs is probably the most important, and one of the ways we start jobs is through correction of our infrastructure. That is, we have projects, construction projects, water projects, so forth, to provide jobs to working people, to working class people. And from there, we supplement local businesses by infusing more income from that.
Thank you. CJ.
Thank you. COVID has really hit our businesses and our families hard. There are many people without jobs. There are many businesses that are struggling. And I think the number one issue for the city of Melbourne needs to be how to encourage a strong economic comeback. I think if we allow for our businesses to thrive through encouraging them to create jobs. And the way that we do that is we reduce the regulations on these businesses that are costly to them, or take too much time and make it so it's difficult for them on a month-to-month basis to retain employees. And if we encourage a strong economic comeback through working with our all the stakeholders, whether it's Melbourne Main Street or the chamber, I think that is how we're going to get our people back to work, and I think that's how we're going to build a strong economy for Melbourne.
Thank you. Hazel, you're next.
Thank you so much. We forget to unmute. As I see the needs or pressing needs, and as an incoming mayor, first of all, definitely jobs. There are too many of our people without jobs. Homelessness is definitely another issue, and there are programs in place, especially with our homeless, that's going to help counteract some of that. Just recently, the city council just approved $246,000 that will go towards homelessness with a organization called Streets to Home Bridge Building. And I pray that it's going to work wonderfully. Matter of fact, Florida Today had an article in the paper regarding a young lady who's transitioning into the program. So definitely that is an issue. Law enforcement concerns are definitely my concerns due to what has happened in our nation and has flowed down to our cities through protesting of issues. We definitely make sure that our law enforcement, especially our chief, is doing a great job. And in talking with the city manager, they have some great things in place and have also eliminated some of the concerns that the citizens have.
Thank you. And you all brought up so many really important issues, from affordable housing to homelessness to our economy. But I want to begin with our businesses in Melbourne that are suffering because of the COVID-19 pandemic. I believe at least two of you brought up working to help them. So that's my next question to you is, what ideas do you have to help brick and mortar businesses in our community that have been impacted by the coronavirus pandemic? And Molly, you're going first. Please give us specific ideas that you have for that.
Yes, I just unmuted. I would go about rebuilding through our local businesses. That's a very hard job to start and sustain a small business. We can help by promoting local business and encouraging our citizenry to participate and support local businesses. The other thing is to publicize with economic development and county groups, emphasize the need to support locals, support each other. This is where we can thrive. We can actually encourage it by giving local businesses like the facade program that we've had for a number of years to improve the appearance of local business, to encourage it, and to help to finance some of that cost.
Thank you. CJ, you're next.
Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. We have many families and business owners that are struggling. So supporting our local businesses and making sure you shop local is extremely important. Encouraging economic growth and through our downtown areas and working with our economic development centers to build up these areas and redevelop these areas so we have more that can go into the downtown area, so we attract more people. We have 750,000 people that visited downtown Melbourne last year, and I think we need to continue to encourage that and allowing people to hire more people, more of our families, and and look at how are we going to support them through city measures, and that's encourage some deregulation and allow it to make it easier through the permitting process and any other processes they go through City Hall.
Thank you. And again, the question is, what did the candidates, what are some of the proposals to help businesses that have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic? Hazel, you're next. You have 1 minute.
Okay, thank you so much. One of the ways that I see, and this is like thinking out of the box, especially for small businesses, because truly they have been through quite a bit in regards to the COVID-19. There have been programs, and the city have also aided in that as far as supporting them through grants or et cetera. But one of the ideas that have come to my thinking is that we would bombard a business every month, a small business.
And it appears that we have lost Hazel. Hazel, if you can hear us, please come back and we'll let you finish answer your question. For the meantime, we're going to move on to Paul in hopes that Hazel can reconnect with us. Paul, if you have 1 minute to answer your question, let me just make sure that we reset our timer.
Okay.
Rob, if you want to do that, thank you. Paul, again, you have 1 minute to answer the question.
Perfect. Thank you. I am a small business owner for nearly 2 decades. Matter of fact, I won my first Better Business Award from the Chamber of Commerce in 2004. Sitting on the council now, when COVID-19 hit, I was instrumental with my other council members in working with the Melbourne Chamber and doing the Back to Business campaign. And that's where we worked on helping people identify those businesses and try to buy local. Also, the last couple of years, I've worked on online permitting. And online permitting now has gone live in the city of Melbourne the last couple of weeks, and that really helps economic development. You can print a permit online real quick and move forward, and we can focus on the bigger permits, our plans examiners. So am I up a minute? Because I could go all day, but I will continue with a health small business. Even I normally do the small business of the day, where I go out to small business personally and put them out on social media and pay for it out of my own pocket to help these small businesses. So I am the small business candidate in this race, and I'm looking forward to continue, if allowed, to serve as mayor.
Thank you. And Hazel Buggs got disconnected. Hazel, I'm asking her to please try to reconnect, disconnect, and then reconnect, and we'll let you answer the question. It appears that Hazel is back. Hazel, are you with us? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I don't know what happened there.
Okay, it happens. It's live. It happens. That's the new COVID reality when we have to do everything virtually. So we were moving on to the mask question, but I'm going to go back and give you time to finish your thoughts on how to have small local businesses that have suffered because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I'll give you your minute back.
All right. Thank you so much. I hope it doesn't happen again. But one way I see supporting small businesses, being a small business owner myself, an online small business owner, so I know the impact it has had on small businesses, and they are the backbone of our country. One of the things I'm thinking out of the box. This is one way I believe we can help small businesses. Just take one Saturday and bombard them with business. This would be a well-prepared, well-thought-out process, but it's every other month we will definitely support a small business. And the other thing is the facade program. Melbourne has the facade program that is set up. Matter of fact, on that particular advisory board, that's where I spent 10 years, Melbourne Downtown Redevelopment. And that's one of the programs that was put in place for businesses who want to give their business an exterior different look. And so I'm very proud of that. But I believe that if we get on board with our small business and supporting them, there are so many opportunities out there. Melbourne Chamber of Commerce, there are different programs.
Your time is up.
Yes, there are different avenues for small businesses.
Thank you. And we'll move on now to the mask question. Again, the question is, would you support mandating masks inside of businesses within the city of Melbourne? And CJ, you're going first.
Thank you. It's an important question. It's come up quite a bit. And I think that the city should encourage businesses to have people wear masks, whether they're in their business or whether they're out around other people. Do I think that the city should mandate? Absolutely not. I don't believe that. You know, I have a small child at home, and I want to make sure I protect him. So I take measures personally to make sure I do that. I wear a mask whether I'm out in businesses, whether they mandate it or not. I think it's a responsibility of mine to make sure that I take care of my child. And you know, while I think everyone has their own opinion on this, and this is typically a fairly polarized question, you know, my fundamental beliefs on this are that people should not be required to wear them at least from the government mandating it.
Thank you. And Hazel, you're next. Your thoughts on a mask mandate?
My thoughts on a mask mandate, again, I be mandated. I do believe that this is an individual choice an individual should make. However, when you're entering businesses, if that is the rule of the business for you to wear a mask, I believe you should respect that. We are living in a time where we have options, and those options is your own personal option. The mask, me personally, I wear a mask everywhere, even in my car sometimes. When I go to city hall meetings, you'll see me with a mask on. But that's my protection. That's my personal protection. The virus is still with us. It has not gone away. And so you have to look at it from many standpoints. I want to live, so I wear a mask. But to mandate it, I don't think we should.
Thank you. Paul, and you're unmuted.
No, I'm unmuted. Yes. I actually feel it should be up to the business. Being a business owner again for nearly 20 years, businesses have the responsibility and the liability to protect their employees and their customers. So they know best. I will say I do carry a mask, and my daughters and I, and when we go somewhere, we'll put the mask on if it's a very busy or crowded business or something. So I think at the end of the day, I would not support a government mandate and make you wear a mask. Again, I would definitely encourage the businesses to do what they need to do to not only stay open, but to protect their customers, and whatever they feel, the customers and the business owners, they should do. So that's where I stand on it.
Thank you. Molly? Good to go.
Okay, good. First off, I'm not sure we have the legal authority to impose mandates on the general public. We do, however, have a responsibility and effectuate ordinances and policies upon businesses. We can, and say there's a large spike in COVID, we have the authority to enact health and safety requirements for restaurants and bars. We can say these servers, the host or greeter, and perhaps even bus personnel must wear a mask. We can mandate that, just as we say you must wear a hairnet, or there's no smoking in the smoking area. We do have that ability to do that for a limited amount of time in a situation that calls for it, if there's a spike in COVID acts. Otherwise, it's pretty much business policy, various businesses' policies, and individual determination as to when and where they should wear their mask. I personally often wear it.
Thank you. And we're still going to talk a little bit about the economy, because I think a lot of you brought up creating jobs. So my next question is, on the ballot this year will be a referendum asking Melbourne voters whether to continue to authorize City Council to grant property tax exemptions to new businesses and to existing businesses that are expanding and are expected to create new full-time jobs. I want to know your thoughts. Do you support offering tax exemptions and cash incentives to attract businesses to the city? I would like for you to differentiate between just offering a tax exemption and offering cash. And Hazel, you're going 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. I would definitely offer a new business coming into Melbourne, have the desire to come to Melbourne to do business, definitely a tax incentive. But that's predicated also on jobs. I believe this is also a way for them to help with the job or unemployment issue that we are having, depending on what the business is. But I definitely think an incentive, I don't believe so much a cash incentive, but a tax incentive will, I think, will work wonderfully, provided, therefore, that they're able to also create jobs, and especially blue-collar jobs for those that are not degree-oriented. So yes, I do believe tax incentive is a good idea.
Thank you. Paul, you're next.
We always have to keep our options open. There are numerous, 67 Florida counties. in the state of Florida, and everyone's competing for these businesses to come in. And by not having the ability of just having a tool in the toolbox, then you really limit yourself of creating, bringing in companies and creating good jobs for our residents and their families. So I think it needs to be done responsibly. We had an incident recently come before our council where the company in the past was given that ability and they did not they didn't meet their goals, so they did not get it. So again, if they reach the goals that's designated by the council and them, and it's agreed upon, I do support keeping that tool in the toolbox. Absolutely.
Thank you. Molly? And you're muted. Please unmute yourself. And if the candidates want to not mute themselves, we'll see how that works. If we start a lot of feedback.
I was just listening to the speakers, so I didn't mute. Anyway, we're unmuted now. We definitely need to keep open the potential for allowing certain, especially when trying to attract large businesses, high-paying jobs, companies like L3 Harris or Northrop Grumman, that sort of thing, where they make certain promises as to bringing in a number of high-paying jobs in exchange for a tax break that is only allowable for a certain period of time in which they must comply and meet their promises to the city. Locally, small businesses, I think we might be able to work some incentives and some help with taxes that way. I'm not sure how we would do that, but it's a possibility that we ought to keep open.
CJ.
When I worked at the governor's office under Rick Scott, we tackled this issue quite often in trying to attract businesses to the state of Florida, and we were quite successful by doing that. And within the city of Melbourne, I think it's important that we offer the incentives to companies who want to bring people here and bring jobs and bring families here, because now we're expanding the tax base. So they have the requirement to create jobs, and I think it's going to be really important to keep that requirement. But ultimately, if we give these tax incentives to the businesses who are allowing us to increase our tax base, but not cash incentives. I'm not a fan of the cash incentives. I think history has shown that is not as effective for our local government in our economy. But I do support bringing businesses here and competing strongly with other cities in the state of Florida to do so.
Thank you. Now let's move on to a different topic, which is police reform. As you know, since the death of George Floyd earlier this year, police departments everywhere are reviewing and reforming their practices. What specific areas of change do you see for Melbourne, if any? And please be specific about possible reforms that you have thought about. And Paul, you're going first.
Thank you. Spending 20 years in law enforcement, my last 12 years at the city of Melbourne, this is very important to me. That's why when I came into office, one of the first things I wanted was police body cameras. And we are in the process right now of getting police body cameras. It's been put in the budget and such. Also, reviewing all the policies. Our department has suspended chokeholds from the neck and such. So I also, again, being a police officer, we need to also get back to community policing. We have to, that's our bread and butter. That's getting out in the community, walking, riding a bike, talking to people. And that's where we build the gap. And again, that's what I do is volunteer work going into the schools with the BCSO enforcers. I'm bridging that gap every day, and we need to continue to do so.
Thank you. And Molly, you're next.
Yes, I think we need to work with our police force, which is doing a fine job, very, very well. I support the use of body cameras, and I think that will go through without a problem. I think there's general support to that, maybe some hesitation from some sectors, but not much. I think we have to be very careful about our recruitment. We have to be very selective, and I think we ought to have continuing not just training, but continuing law enforcement philosophy, if you will, so that every 2 years, our officers are able to renew their view of how they serve the community. Uh, we have a very good relationship with most of our diverse community, so that's good. We need help from public citizens to report things and to report them accurately and to speak accurately ourselves about our position and our police who have served at one time or another and
Thank you.
but don't anymore.
Sure. And the question again is, what police reform ideas do you support? And CJ, you're next.
Thank you. I think body cameras are a great addition to our police force. We've seen recently many incidents happen nationwide where, you know, there may be a mystery of what happened. And in order to act quickly and make sure that there's transparency within our government, it would be important to protect our community and protect our cops. So there's no mystery about what happened. Also, I think that we need to make sure that we have resource officers in our schools and in our Melbourne school, and that way they can foster better relationships with our youth and encourage better community relations. We're not seeing that right now. We currently don't have we don't have the resource officers in our schools in Melbourne, and I think it's a big mistake because that can really encourage our youth to understand and have good feelings about our cops.
Hazel?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the question. It's a very good question too, because as you know, this is definitely and has been an issue, not just locally, but throughout our nation. So it's so important that we reinstate or reinforce a good relationship between our citizens and the police law enforcement. Just recently, I had an opportunity to speak with our city manager, and my concern was some of those issues, especially based off of George Floyd's incident, such as chokeholding and that the whole nation saw that. So that was very concerning to me. But not only that, sensitivity, diversity and sensitivity training is a concern for me. And so she assured me that those were some of the reforms that were coming about. And I believe that because our chief and because our city manager have those concerns, I believe we're going to have a better and an increased police force. Also, I do believe that activity within the community, as far as interacting with.
And we'll stay on this topic a little longer because I feel that all the candidates are very passionate about it. And I want to talk about gun violence in the city. And a lot of times people expect mayors to come in and fix the issue. But I want to know, what can a mayor do to alleviate these issues? Give us some of your creative proposals that you might have come up with, and what would you do in that position to try to solve the issue of urban violence in the city of Melbourne? And Molly, you're going first.
There. That's very difficult. You have to give credence to a lot of the problems that our police officers report regarding that sort of thing. A mayor by themselves can't do much, but they can set a standard, a feeling. We have to encourage our citizens to report crimes when they see them. If they witness something, don't be afraid, report it. And our police will help you. They're there to help you. They're there to keep us safe and to keep us from being cheated and to keep us from horrible events and shootings. And I think one thing we might do is have an assessment center where people who are homeless can be looked at and examined for mental problems, alcoholism, drugs, that sort of thing.
Thank you. CJ, your thoughts on what can mayors do to address the issue of gun and violence in the city of Melbourne?
Well, luckily, we don't have a major problem with gun violence in the city, and I think that is due to how great our police force is and how strong our police are in the entire county. again, I think that we need to encourage working with the youth and making sure that they grow up with the right ideas in their mind about how they view cops and how they view other people. If we make sure that other people are compassionate and kind, I think that will go a long way. Also, we need to make sure that we encourage this from the top down and have an environment of transparency within our police department and within our government. And if we do that, we can ensure that if any incident does happen, that we know how to solve it quickly and make sure that we can look towards making sure it doesn't happen again.
Thank you. Hazel.
Yes, one of the things I'm happy about is that the City of Melbourne has in place the Police Community Relations Committee that meets at least on the south end and the north end once a month. And in that meeting, citizens are able to, share their concerns of issues, whether it's crime, whether it's drugs or et cetera. And it's nice because the mayor usually shows up and some of the city council members are there also to hear those concerns. I do believe that more recruitment of minority policemen should take place. Right now, there are only 6% of minority police officers on the force. And so I believe that will enhance and bring about even more a trusting relationship within our diverse communities. I believe that we have the potential to be a model city for other cities. And that's because I believe we have a fantastic chief of police. And I believe that the citizens are ready to have a relationship, to build a relationship with our law enforcement.
Thank you. Paul, you're next.
Okay, thank you. It starts by community policing. The fact is that when you get it as a former community policing officer, when you get into the community and you build that trust and such with the community, people will come to you and talk to you and tell you issues. A lot of times that stops gun violence. As a mayor, we need to remember that we do have a Second Amendment right in this country, and I feel that's very important. We cannot take the gun rights from our citizens who are local law-abiding residents. So as long as we get into the community and we do a lot of community policing, I think that's our best bet.
Thank you. Now I want to move on now to a different topic, and I wanted to talk about affordable housing. There's obviously, as you know, a lack of affordable housing in Brevard County and Florida as a whole. And as you know, the cost of renting in particular has increased in recent years. And while the cost of housing is dictated by market forces, there are measures that local governments can put in place to increase the availability of affordable housing. My question to you candidates is, what should City Council consider, if any? What are some of these measures that you believe City Council should consider? And CJ, you're going first.
Sure. I think that the city has the opportunity to open up the zoning laws. And if we allow for smaller platted properties and the building of tiny houses, which currently isn't allowed in the city, I think if we encourage that and open up those zoning laws within the CRA areas or within the downtown areas, that we'll see tremendous growth and availability of these houses and this housing being built. So when we have people who are looking for affordable housing, because it's true, the rental market is very high, and it's difficult to buy a house sometimes with how much cash you have to put down. So allowing for the options of housing that isn't quite as expensive, but also, maybe it's a little bit closer together, maybe it's a little bit higher density. I think things like that in our downtown areas would be very positive, and it would allow for that need that we have with our affordable housing to be solved.
Hazel, you're next.
Affordable housing definitely is an issue. And yes, a growing number of our Floridians face difficulties in finding houses. I will work to encourage and incentivize development of affordable housing. We have many homes that are being built, apartment complex that are being built, but within that complex, there should be some units that are affordable definitely to our service personnel, firefighters, nurses, teachers, etc. So it is definitely an issue, but I believe it's an issue that's going and can be resolved. Uh, as zoning issues, if that can definitely be a leniency on that. Also, I love the idea of tiny houses. I'm really doing some research on that, but I believe that there's an opportunity for Melbourne to definitely get involved and be more effective.
Paul, on the issue of affordable housing.
Yes, serving on council now, we've been approving a lot of the projects for affordable housing because that is a big issue now. It was just brought up tiny houses. That's an option, but there are issues there with the Florida Building Code. And as being a contractor, we do have hurricanes and such going through. So there's a lot of bugs to be worked out there. So I would definitely I'd definitely look into that more as mayor of the city of Melbourne. I will say this is a big challenge for the Space Coast Association Realtors, and that was addressed. And fortunately, I've been given their endorsement. So this is something I have extensive knowledge in, and we're going to have to tackle this issue, and I feel that we can.
Thank you, Molly.
Yes, I think to examine affordable housing, we have to look at, as was mentioned, I think by CJ, zoning issues and the differences between giving housing to those who are homeless because they have mental, alcoholic, drug problems, and the families that are searching for housing, or single people, it doesn't matter, but who had simply been knocked down of the loop due to economic conditions. I think we have to aim our affordable housing at that area. And for others who have problems that tend to personally limit their ability to work and pay for housing, handled differently. There's no easy solution, but I think the city's working hard on it, and I think we're doing as best we can for now.
Thank you. And Molly, I believe you brought up another issue, which is homelessness. So that's my next question. If elected, what is your plan to address the homeless population in downtown Melbourne, as well as other parts of the city, as well as the panhandle? What are some of the solutions that you have come up with? And Hazel, you're going first.
Homeless is definitely an issue, not only in the city of Melbourne, but throughout Brevard County. Like my research, there are about 850 homeless families, and 200 of those are women with children. And so the need for that is definitely a top priority. I had mentioned earlier in my one statement that there is a housing program that the city is also funding, which is about $247, Streets to Home Build Bridge Housing Program. That program definitely has targeted 30 homeless people that they will help mainstream back into society with permanent housing. And along the way, there are other opportunities for them as far as jobs and education, etc. So I think that's a very good program. I believe Daily Bread is also working with what is it, Steady Town, I believe, which is a private organization working together.
You. Paul, you're next on the issue of homelessness.
Oh, perfect. Hazel brought up a good point that what we're doing on council as vice mayor, that we're actually working on programs that try to identify those most needed and get them off the streets. By doing that and working with many of our partners with Steady Town, Daily Bread, and a lot of our churches and 501c3 groups, that's one thing as mayor that I plan on doing, making a dent on this. There's many people that need help. There's many people that want help. And as a city, that's kind of our job, is to help them become a very productive member of society and to buy a home. So there's many projects that I've actually worked on. And I'm working with Steady Town right now on another plan that hopefully that we can address this if I'm elected to mayor.
Thank you, Molly.
There. Yes, the homeless issue is quite something. I believe that we need to work with our
Oh, you're I believe you accidentally muted yourself again, Molly. There you go.
Not exactly high tech, am I? But there's many ways we can work together. And one of my strong ideas is an assessment center, so that difficulties that arise with people who have disabilities of sorts due to alcoholism or drug use, mental problems, that needs to be handled separately. The homeless people who are homeless because they don't have a job or there's too little time. I think they ought to work together, live in affordable housing, and help each other by forming babysitting groups, lawn care groups to help each other.
Thank you. We'll move on to CJ.
Thank you. I think we need to get the people who are homeless off the continuum of care. The hurdles to receive care are not just the homeless, but all citizens. Right now, we don't make it easy for people to get help. We have many veterans, women, and children who are among this group, and in many cases is related to mental health and substance abuse issues. We need to find a permanent supportive housing. And as you just heard, the city just voted to put the homeless 30 families in hotels around town. But I think it would be great if we can get them into permanent housing. We need to create a public awareness campaign by providing remote services so people who are in need can get it quicker and more efficiently. We must reduce the occurrence of crime in our downtown areas and within our libraries, which has really gotten worse over the last 4 years. And finally, we need to implement a court diversion program, so we do not keep wasting taxpayer dollars by sending nonviolent offenders into the revolving door of our local jails. We need to get to the root of the problem, all while making sure we're not infringing on anyone's rights.
Thank you. Last year, Melbourne City Council voted 4-3 to keep fluoride in the city's water, which also serves communities outside city limits, such as West Melbourne and parts of an unincorporated Brevard County. Supporters of keeping fluoride in city water cited the number of Americans who do not have access to dental care. Opponents said people should choose what's in their water. If this topic ever comes up again, how would you vote, candidates? And Paul, you're going first.
Okay, this is pretty easy. I voted to take it out. And the reason is what we're putting in the water is not real fluoride. It's hydroxysillic acid. And if you were to look at the material safety data sheet, that public record in the city, it contains arsenic and other materials that our body is consuming. Matter of fact, it's not even recommended for our pets. So I even stopped giving my pets city water. What we're trying to do is based off old data. Is about 99.5% of the water is not drank in the city of Melbourne. It's for other issues, plumbing and such. So basically what we're trying to do with 0.05% of the water is a capture with an acid kids for dental, to help them for dental care. So I see more harm than good. So, and many other cities throughout Florida do not do this because there is natural fluoride in the water. So I was against it and I will continue to be against it. And I will not take any money from their lobbyists.
Thank you, Molly.
I would support fluoride in the water. It's been in use across the United States for a number of years. It's been successful in helping people avoid dental problems. As we all know, until relatively recently, we didn't really have that much dental insurance even. It was a matter of having to just watch your teeth go, and everybody gets false teeth. That shouldn't be. Fluoride has been a great help in that area across the United States. I would have to examine all the scientific examination, but my tendency is to lean toward continuation of fluoriding the water.
Thank you. CJ.
Thank you for the question. Fluoride in our water is extremely important for our youth. It is not even disputed evidence that it helps protect children's teeth growing up. And it also helps adults. And it helps adults avoid other issues that bad dental care can create. And it's very important that we continue having fluoride in our water. And just because there may be one study out of a million that says one thing, that doesn't mean that we need to listen to that. We need an educated mayor that understands truly what it does and how it affects our children. these studies have been around for a long time. And there's been study after study that shows that it always improves the dental care and health of the people drinking the water within those cities.
Hazel, question is fluoride in city water? Not. Your thoughts?
My thoughts on that is definitely no fluoride. I had that opportunity to sit at the city council meeting when this issue was brought up, and testimony after testimony. I was leaning in the middle, but before the meeting was over, I really realized that the danger that fluoride can cause and probably have caused prior. There were testimonies pertaining to thyroid cancer, different other ailments that the person felt was related to fluoride. And whether it's a good thing for our children, we have to do a lot more research. We thought baby powder for women were good at one point, but unfortunately, they end up with cancer. So definitely not. I have even bought fluoride toothpaste and also mouthwash. So I'm very comfortable with that. So my answer is no.
Thank you, candidates. This has been a fun ride, but we only have about 4 minutes left. So now we're going to move on to our closing statements. Again, you have 1 minute each to make your final case for the voters. And Molly, you're going to be the first one to go.
Yes, very briefly, I will state I have the experience, I have the effectiveness, and I have the ethics to be mayor. I will work together with City Council, the Chamber of Commerce, the general public, our police force, our city staff, the airport, which I served on the board 8 years. But let me say this to the public: you have one vote, spend it. Spend it wisely. This is a nonpartisan office. Elect a nonpartisan, constructive, not destructive leader, or an orchestra leader, if you will, to handle the complex issues, very complex and multiple, that involve our city. And I can do that. Go to www.mollytasker.com. Thank you.
CJ, your closing statements.
Thank you, Isadora, and thank you, Florida Today, for hosting this forum. And it's really important that we take a look at these candidates for the future of Melbourne. We need broader representation on our city council, and I am that candidate that can bridge the gap between your generation and mine. And I have the energy, I have the education, and I have the experience to get the job done, to make sure that Melbourne is the best place for your family and for my family, for your business and for my business, to make sure that we grow up here and have this city as the best place to live, work, and play. And that's why I will be your choice for mayor. Thank you.
Hazel.
Thank you so much. I am Hazel Buggs, and yes, I am running to be the next mayor of Melbourne. I'm a collaborator, and I will serve all the residents of Melbourne, not just a few. My special interest will be the residents of Melbourne. I will be a full-time mayor. I have 30 years of community service and experience. I will work with the city council and county officials to encourage low-impact growth strategies that address the stormwater issues that impact our lagoon and other water bodies. I will work with the city manager and the council to ensure that city codes and guidelines encourage smart growth principles that protect and preserve environmentally sensitive lands for public use. I will be an advocate for Melbourne small businesses and affordable housing for our residents that work in service industries, education, and other areas where housing is a challenge. I have been endorsed by the Florida Puerto Rican Hispanic Minority Empowerment Committee, former council member of the Melbourne City Council, and business owners, and also the LGBTA Democratic
Thank
Caucus.
you.
I am asking for your vote. Go to Hazel Buggs.
Thank you.
hazelbuggs.com. Thank you.
And Paul, you're closing our forum now. Go ahead. You have 1 minute.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you, Florida Today in Eastern Florida, for having this, and thank you for your time. Currently serving as the vice mayor and District 5 council members, I've had a great 4 years. I thought we got more roads and drainage projects done than any prior councils. I volunteered hundreds, if not thousands, of hours in the community, building both the Melbourne's Pylock dog parks with volunteer initiatives. when Hurricane Dorian hit the Bahamas, I was a leader and put together our relief for the Bahamas, which sent about 100,000 pounds of food and supplies and medicine to the Bahamas. I've demanded accountability in government. When I got into government, I audited the city's finances and discovered a tax scam and recovered stolen tax dollars, and an elected official went to jail. So I demand accountability in government. And at the end of the day, I even give her my money back into the community to help businesses and stuff as the small business candidate. So I ask for your support for mayor, and go to www.paulalfrey.info. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank our candidates once again for joining us. This is very important. And I also want to thank the viewers for watching us. A reminder, the election happens on November 3rd. There are also elections for city council in Melbourne, as well as a referendum. Do your homework, please. Florida State will be releasing an elections guide running in print on October 11th and sooner online. Thank you once again, and make sure you vote on November 3rd.